Good day everyone. Before we begin, I would like to remind you that it is never too early start working on final papers. They are worth 20% of the final, and next session we will have our second pop quiz with no time to study after class begins, but Bill will now discuss chapter 10.
Thanks. Happy Friday. Let's begin this session of an outline to achievement. Chapter 10, Week 4. Great Intellectual Awakening. As only the dead have seen the end of war, mastering the art of sales at the marketplace and fighting to keep one's brand at the cutting edge of technology or artistically postmodern, a great intellectual awakening occurs. So, what? Should we not speak, when we feel we ought as a child who sees some form of domestic violence, but too small, cowers in the fetal position in a corner, when we know what is happening is wrong? We know ourselves to be good, because we want what's good. How could we want what's bad without needing some type of psychological counseling? Ethics is a trivial matter, but morals are quite another. How do we know we are right as right and good are not synonymous? Neither are wrong and bad, because if we are seen by everyone else as wrong and bad, we still think we are good. You only need one good to cancel out all the bad, but one bad could never cancel out all good. As speech is the truth that comes from the brain, politics should never get in the way of a cry for help which, even if it is a whisper, confession becomes necessary to release the truth from the soul. So, when we know what 2 and 2 is, we can't let someone come and tell us it is 3 or 5. This great intellectual awakening must be steeped in research where through it we are enlightened, and this enlightenment is the foundation of our manifest destiny. As there is always someone more physically dominant, we abandon our 5 senses for our 6th and a constant dedication to progressive research. When researching we mostly default to our primary sources where we are most comfortable. Secondary sources are a written reminder of minds who have taken our position before, and personal experience becomes the most influential reason for going left or right, choosing right or wrong or being good or bad. Man is the measure of all things. Primary sources include our immediate circle at Mossberg, our broader associates and the general public. What more proof do we need other than a witness to an occurrence of a confession to an act? Our secondary sources are not limited to the office library, local publications, and state statistics only. There are other records to prove or disprove hypothesis which include anything written or documented. The personal experience comes from hypothesis and experimentation where conclusions were drawn, recorded and remembered. These forms of research only matter if we can add 2 and 2. Predicting a buildup of troops on the border may lead to an invasion. Therefore, being enlightened, preparations must be made. Enlightenment comes when we see ourselves as ethically good where actions become morally insignificant in our intentions toward virtuous behavior. Being ethically good, there is an acceptance of justice and a comfortable idea of personal perfection which presents itself as an elevation to equality for some and a demotion for others. Even though without the ability to defend and offend there will never be equality, some are more fortunate than others. So, after the knowledge of being ethically good as another, we accept moral insignificance knowing man fashions the law how he sees fit, and laws made can always be changed. Law controls the masses and stunts the power of the minority, but good supersedes right. Virtuous behavior becomes the goal as the reward of ethical thought is moral behavior, courage is found to confront controversial issues and compassion is exercised to limit the wrath of courage. So, we defend Mossberg, but only to a certain extent as our position is equal to any other, until the justice found in democracy reduces it to the economic caste it belongs. What must then be our goal and ultimate manifest destiny and the steps we must make towards it? There are some immediate alterations which must be made to even attempt to reach the goals of our 5-year plan and further toward our ultimate goals. If we find we are going the wrong way, we must immediately change directions sooner rather than later where afterwards an altered mindset helps us gravitate towards others of like mind. As losers hang with losers, and winners hang with winners, our 5-year plans are closer to us, if we hang with those who are more inspiring than not. We know in 5 years we want to be healthy and wealthy. We would also prefer to have mastered our attempts at business administration. The 2024 literacy campaign is necessary for presidential aspirations of our Green Party candidate. Of our ultimate goals we have a bucket list of accomplishments that we plan to achieve. We will know when we have reached that glass ceiling where our economic potential and physical abilities give out. So, we accept a humble retirement of waking up early in the morning, drinking coffee, and reading the newspaper, then watching our gardens grow for the remainder of the day. What is this great intellectual enlightenment other than adding 2 to 2, getting 4, and knowing how far we have to go to get to our goal? Adding 2 and 2 is basically the research done to prove whatever point we are enlightened on, and seeing it enlightened we make steps to bringing what we know to be true into reality. In researching we have primary and secondary sources where coming to conclusions on experiments based on hypothesis add to the information available for us to research. Once we have tried and tested certain basic principles, we know them to hold true, and if there is a discrepancy, there is a little light bulb that goes off in our head. This enlightenment that goes off every time someone says 2 plus 2 equals 3 or 5 gives us the urge to correct what we know to be untrue. Why? Well, because our manifest destiny is not to get there at all costs, but to arrive both right and good. It would haunt us forever if we added 2 and 2 in our calculator, and it read out 3 or 5, but we still sold them anyway. After completing our bucket list and sitting back on the veranda enjoying the newspaper and a glass of tea, we would still have to look over our shoulders for students who knew the calculator had a defect, failing math as a result.
That concludes the information for this time. Remember, we have the second pop quiz after next session. We will address questions at this time and dismiss afterward. Thank you.